There's so many and I want to answer them all. Hi, it's Emily from BiteSizeVegan and welcome to a vegan Q&A. It's been quite a while since I've done a Q&A for you guys, except the time that I did the back-to-back live Q&As on Facebook and YouTube in October, and I'll have the link to those and all of the other Q&As I've ever done in the description below, along with all of the questions that I answer today and additional resources for each. Before I jump in, because this is one of the rare times that I have a kind of non-formulated video, I thought I would take this opportunity to let you guys know to click the bell. If you are subscribed or you want to subscribe and you would like for that to actually do something as far as letting you know when videos are coming out, click the bell. It's a two-step process. You aren't ever told about the second step, so it's kind of like just figuring out what YouTube might want today. It's not a healthy relationship. I have been hearing that a lot of people are still not getting notified even when they have selected notifications, and there are still people being unsubscribed. So if you'd like to know when I do stuff, click the bell. So I got a lot of great questions from you guys, and a good number of them are going to need their own dedicated videos. So if you don't see your question answered today, it might be that I'm answering it later in its own full video, or that I'm saving it for another Q&A just because there was quite a good number of them. And some of you guys I did answer on the actual platform. So Clara Rodriguez, and I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, asked, what's the best for doing activism in a place where veganism is very unknown and rejected by most people, and where animal agriculture is something normal? I live in Uruguay. That's a really great question, and that's something that I even faced when I was looking into doing a speech for Ireland. I think there is great value in considering the differences and coming from a perspective that will most effectively connect with whatever kind of cultural framing there is. And at least what I try to do is use that framework to kind of bring down people's walls and meet them where they're at. But the end message and the core of what I always end with is the same. I kind of try to use the framework of the familiar. And so in a lot of my videos you'll hear me say things like pets, or in my bestiality video, if you abandon it within like a first couple minutes, you might think I'm going in a super shady direction. So I try to start kind of in the framework with which most people are familiar, and so you would know that in your culture in Uruguay far more than I would. So kind of starting with the language, the beliefs, the concepts that are familiar and that are espoused by the majority of people, but then using that in a way to kind of, at least identify, connect with the people that you're talking to, but the heart of the message is the same. The way that we exploit non-human animals and even one another is pretty universal. These are living beings, they're sentient, they feel just like we do. Mother cows want to have their babies with them just like mother humans want to have their babies with them. It's kind of just bringing it down to these base logical things. And showing people, I think one of the most effective things is showing people how the values that they already have align with veganism. And so it's not this like big radical change or this, turning against one's culture and country, but rather just starting to act the way that we believe already. I mean, if we're looking through the human perspective and we think about there's a tradition maybe within our culture that involves consuming the bodies of a certain animal. If you just come straight at that and say, this is wrong to do this, that can be interpreted as my family history is wrong, like these very deep-rooted things of value are being threatened. Whereby if we can disarm and bring people through this thought process to the point of seeing from the perspective of that animal, then it becomes far more evident that to that being, to the one who is going to have their throat slit or who is going to die in some terrifying, painful manner, how does it being a tradition alleviate that suffering? And how does it justify that suffering? There's all kinds of examples throughout human history of things that we've done because of it's the way that we've always done it, or if it's been tradition, or it's been widely accepted. And we even look back on these things in horror today and even wonder, like, how could that even have been acceptable? The final thing that I would say is to dig through the actual laws and regulations of your country, if you can find them, if they have them, because a lot of times what we think happens is not even close to what actually does happen. and what the laws say is like the ideal, and usually what's happening is far less than ideal, but when we actually even look at the laws in and of themselves, they can be pretty awful a lot of times, which is what I've found in any country that I've looked into. Peace and Plants asks, have you heard about taking wild yam pills as herbal contraception? I had not, but I did do a quick search on it, and this is by no means extensive, but I will put links to the rest of the resources on the blog post, so that'll be down below because there's a number of them and it's too much to pop into the description. What I did find was actually a lot more information and research on wild yam being used for like menstrual cramps and menopause and things like that, and not really any research directly on birth control. So from what I found, it's been used for quite some time for a number of applications, but as far as the birth control aspect, it does contain diosgenin, which is a phytoestrogen or a plant-based estrogen, and diosgenin was used to make the first birth control pills. But even with the studies that I did find on treatment for menopause and menstrual cramps and those kind of things, there doesn't seem to be any kind of conclusive proof of the effectiveness. And again, like I said, nothing actually looking at it as a birth control method. And the reasoning for this might be that our bodies cannot convert diosgenin into progesterone on their own. It has to be done in a lab setting. I do have a whole video on birth control methods and talking about whether they are vegan or not. So there are options, and there are ones that have, pluses and minuses for each, and I will put that down below. So ZM Vegan asked, as a new vegan, how do I get the balance right between being true to my values without annoying my family and friends? I think we'd all like to know the answer to that question. I think that's a huge concern for new vegans and even long-term vegans. Family and friends, family especially, can be very difficult to navigate. I think that maybe reframing this might be a little helpful. Just even having to ask the question about how to balance your values based on making other people comfortable. I mean, that alone in and of itself is a bit of a troubling question. Especially because the values that you're talking about are, not harming innocent beings. I guess for your own sanity and comfort, continuing to educate yourself and knowing that you're not alone in this, and that, many of us have been there before, many of us will go there again. And so I would really also recommend reaching out to other vegans or to just people that you do feel that you can talk to, and knowing that you shouldn't have to apologize or feel bad about not wanting to harm others. You shouldn't feel bad or like your family is going to turn against you because you want to be nonviolent and you don't feel like it's your right to break up other people's families or sentence them to an early death or confine them or violate them in any number of ways. I know that doesn't make it easier or give you a blueprint necessarily for exactly what to say to your family, but I just want to emphasize that, you shouldn't have to sacrifice your values, especially when they're the values of not wanting to hurt. Family can be the most difficult, and sometimes just living by example and continuing to educate yourself and sharing that with them when it feels appropriate. But also know that you can set boundaries if you need to. And it doesn't mean arguing or yelling or even telling them that they're horrible people, but coming kind of more from the perspective of this is something that's really important to me. This is a decision I've come to based on these things that I've learned, and I'm happy to share them with you and to tell you what it is that made me decide to make these changes. But regardless of whether you agree with them, I would love to have your support in just doing what I feel is right and being able to follow through with my own core values. Rebecca Clark asked, what are your thoughts on the growing criticism of people who come to veganism only for health reasons, or the argument that we should not use health claims to promote veganism? So I've said from the very beginning of my channel that there are a million reasons to go vegan and that I've actually yet to find a reason not to go vegan. People often ask me why I'm vegan, and honestly, I haven't found a reason not to be. So I decided to do a number of little clips that have bite-sized information about different reasons to go vegan. And I have always been of the mind that whatever gets you there, good. As long as it can keep you there, or you can find something that will keep you there. And I do find that, the health perspective of veganism can bring a good deal of people into veganism, and when I say the health perspective, that's, again, an infinite range of approaches within that. I do think that it's important to have scientifically backed up, accurate claims or studies, or even at least saying we're not sure, but, these kind of things. That's why I tend to interview Dr. Greger or bring on, specialists instead of myself trying to make any kind of health claims when I don't have any formal training. It's really not my place. However, as far as like bringing people in for the health, good. And whatever's going to connect with them and make them feel that this is a choice that is in line with their values, go for it, Because, that's really what I've always said, is that I think the vast majority of people already are vegan in their mentality, whether that's, and I do think a lot of that is ethical, because I even think people who go vegan for health reasons would still not stab a pig in the throat if that baby pig was in front of them. I don't think they would do it. I have a whole video on bacon lovers who melt when they actually have a pig in front of them. So I just think sometimes, depending on the intensity of the reason that got you into being vegan, at times there needs to be or can be a shift or a further rooting or further identification with other aspects of it that really kind of locks it in and makes it less of a I'm gonna try this and more of something that this is of vital importance. MCat14 says, I'm in middle school and my friends always make fun of me for being vegan. In the past it made me want to give up, but I kept going, and even though they still make fun of me, I tell myself that I don't care what they think. But sometimes it makes me want to quit, and I definitely don't want to do that. Can you give me some tips on how to deal with hate from kids my age? Oh man, I'm so sorry that you're going through that, and I do hear that from a lot of people and of all ages. And I would love to tell you that it gets better with age and that people grow up and are more mature. I've kind of been waiting for that to happen for quite some time, and I'm still waiting. We'll see. I really wish I could just kind of protect you and everyone from that kind of experience. It's an indication of how far we've come from our true nature, that someone just saying, hey, I would like to not hurt these beings, these animals. As kids, we adore, we love them, we have movies with them, and instead of saying I'm gonna love this particular animal and then I'm gonna eat this other one and this one doesn't deserve to live, you're basically saying, hey, that this makes no sense. They can hurt, they can feel, they have families, and I don't want to hurt them. That is nothing to mock, that's nothing to make fun of. That's certainly not something anyone should feel bad about. I don't think it's gonna make everything better, but sometimes it can be helpful to kind of take a step back and realize that that kind of reaction from people is never really about you or what you are doing. A lot of times it's more of the individual feeling implied judgment that because of you being vegan, it's this attack on the way that they eat and what they do. And that in and of itself is pretty telling, because if we don't tend to get defensive unless we kind of feel deep down that maybe something we're doing is wrong. There's a big pressure as well to fit in and to go with the flow, go with the mainstream, go with the popular kids, and not be kind of the one sticking out or the different person, the different kid. I was always the different kid, and I'm still very much the different kid, so to speak. But for me, it really helps, thinking about the animals and what they're going through, and thinking about, the environment and where our planet is headed. And even if it's uncomfortable for me at times, or it's hard at times, and even if it can be a struggle, I still don't want to be part of that. I still don't want to hurt innocent beings, and I still don't want to be part of, the world racing towards destruction. And I would rather take, being unpopular or, having people give me a hard time over that. And I don't say that to imply that what you're going through isn't valid and isn't important and isn't incredibly painful, because I'm sure that it is. It's not easy. My heart goes out to you, and I just want you to know that you're not alone, and you're not wrong, and you are incredibly strong for making this choice, especially early on in life. Just please know that you're doing the right thing. and you can reach out to others. If you don't have anyone in your area, you can reach out online, find some community. I do have a number of videos with interviewing vegan kids, and a number of them have, in the videos, you know, even said that they would be open for people contacting them. So I'm going to link those videos down below, and you can maybe even try to get in touch with the kids in the videos who have their own channels and their own platforms and are very receptive to helping others. Okay, just a few quick ones because it's getting kind of long. So Wendy Linton asked about when people say that they buy organic, humane, free-range type of products and using that kind of as a solution to the way that animals are treated. I have a number of videos on the humane myth and an entire in-depth speech that I gave in Ireland called The Best We Have to Offer, and I'm going to link all of those below. Meg Muggs asked about palm oil and said that she didn't know if I already had addressed this. I have a video on palm oil, so that will be below. And Lauren Walker wanted to know the story of my tattoos and necklace. I've actually answered those as well, so I will link below the Q&A where I talk about the necklace, and then I have 3 tattoo videos that will be linked below as well. So I know I didn't get to so many questions, and I'm really sorry about that. I also want to just let you guys know, if you've emailed me, if you've messaged me and I haven't gotten back to you, it is by no means anything personal. I have kind of a bit of overload with all of the different avenues that are coming in, and it doesn't make it okay. It doesn't make it excusable for you guys to not get a response, especially because I know a lot of the things that are sent are very important, and it does really break my heart to find these things months later sometimes. And I'm not that kind of person. I've never been that kind of person. I've always been someone who's very accountable and good on my word and consistent and reliable. And it just seems, you know, especially in the last year, that the workload has almost necessitated or created me being this kind of person that I really don't want to be. So please know that it's never intentional, and that I honestly, truly want to answer every single person, and I want to be able to address concerns. I want to be able to help as much as I can. It's not possible at this point, and I'm trying my best to put together the systems where I can be more effective, I can be more available, I can create more content, and it's just going a lot more slowly than I would like it to. And a lot of that kind of area of navigating these kind of, you know, business side of stuff or structural side, legal sides, I'm not terribly well versed with these, so it's a bit difficult to navigate, and I'm doing the best that I can. So I just thank you guys for your patience, thank you for your support, thank you for sticking around, and I will keep doing the very best I can, and I can never thank you enough for everything. So I hope that what I did address was helpful, and please find a bunch more information below. If you like this, subscribe and click the bell, because you don't have enough to do. Subscribe it, like it, share it. There's a lot you can do. I feel like a flight attendant. The bell just gets me, man. It's just like, I feel like maybe like YouTube just thinks it's like they just want to see how far they can mess with us. Let's see how much we're gonna tolerate before we just go, no more YouTube.